Discover the heartwarming journey of the Roman Empire. Incredible lessons that changed lives for generations. In the heart of a small rural town, where the rustle of cornfields harmonized with the laughter of children, Sarah Sullivan stood before her classroom, her heart heavy yet hopeful. She couldn't shake the recent loss of her father, a proud World War II veteran who once regaled her with stories about resilience, courage, and the unyielding spirit that defined both history and humanity. As she prepared to teach her students about the Roman Empire, she yearned to share the inspiring tales how empires rose with ambition and fell with neglect. Yet beneath her enthusiasm lay a haunting battle with her family's finances, as her father's passing had only exacerbated their struggles. Bills piled high like unscalable walls, threatening to crush her dreams of sparking a love for history in her students. Today, however, she was determined not to let the weight of despair steal the spotlight. "All right, class," she began, her voice like warm sunshine breaking through a gloomy sky. "Today, we're going to build our own Roman Empire." The students looked up, eyes glazed with thoughts elsewhere. For them, history felt distant like a dusty book on a forgotten shelf. As their disinterest hung heavy in the air, Sarah's resolve hardened. She'd find a way to light their fires. Her plan was ambitious. An interactive project where they could create their own empires, using creativity to delve deep into the very essence of history. Glamorous, wasn't it? Yet it teetered on the edge of impossible. The harsh reality of budget cuts loomed, as her principal had made it painfully clear the school favored standardized testing over artistic expression. With tears threatening to spill, Sarah reached out to local businesses for sponsorship, hoping to gather funds for her dream project. The conversations felt heavy as unspoken prejudices wove their way through the dialogue. Her students were often judged, dismissed, seen through a lens tainted by economic disparity. Each rejection felt like another crack in her already fragile spirit. Just when she thought she couldn't bear another blow, she received a message from her estranged sister. It shattered her isolation, compelled her to confront the wounds of family and grief. The prospect of reconciliation started to heal her heart, a flicker of hope in the dark. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Fueled by renewed strength, Sarah organized a community fundraising event. The day arrived, full of vibrant energy and laughter. Local families came. The smell of grilled burgers filled the air, and Sarah felt the anticipation buzzing like electricity. Yet, their first attempt ended in failure when only a handful of donations trickled in. Still, she saw glimmers of resilience in her students' eyes, a testament to their untapped potential. As their stories began to intertwine with the fabric of history, she sensed change on the cusp. Would the tight-knit town come together? Would they support these children, these dreams? As whispers of budget cuts spread like wildfire, Sarah knew time was running out. A stirring moment lay ahead. Beckoning for courage, would they confront the shadows of their past to embrace a brighter future? Just as Sarah's thoughts spiraled with the weight of uncertainty, she caught sight of her students huddled together, sharing excited whispers. Amidst the chaos of sounds, the sizzling of burgers, laughter, and the deep hum of community, she felt a warmth wash over her. Their faces were beaming with imaginative ideas about what empires could look like. That flicker of enthusiasm was infectious. "Okay, team," she encouraged, stepping closer to the knot of eager faces. "Let's make those dreams a reality. What will our empire stand for?" Little hands shot up, the words tumbling out like pent-up energy. Freedom, kindness, power. Sarah couldn't help but grin. Maybe, just maybe, this was part of the healing she so desperately sought. Yet as excitement rode high, her internal storm brewed. The community spirit flickered like the overhead lights, beautiful yet fragile. She glanced at a corner where a few individuals stood, arms crossed, suspicion clouding their expressions. The town had its share of skeptics, those who believed in the illusion of effort without change. Could they really rally together to support a vision that felt so distant from their everyday reality? As the festivities rolled on, Sarah noticed her sister, Emily, standing at the edge. She had come to help, but the distance between them felt like a canyon. With every smile exchanged, Sarah felt the ache of lost years spent drifting apart over misunderstandings and pain. Determined to bridge that gap, Sarah approached her, heart pounding. "Emily," she started, voice shaky but resolute. "Thank you for being here. It means so much." Her sister turned, a cautious smile breaking through. "I want to help, Sarah. I see what you're trying to do. Let us make this happen together." Their shared determination felt like an anchor, grounding Sarah amidst the swirling chaos of her mind. Perhaps the shadows of her past didn't have to cling to her so tightly. Perhaps, within this project, lived the potential for both personal and communal healing. Hours passed in a blur of laughter and teamwork. Parents and children collaborated on creating vibrant posters, ambitious models of their envisioned empires, and even costumes inspired by ancient Rome. The atmosphere was electric. Sarah felt a rush each glance. Each shared laugh pulled her deeper into the heart of something bigger than herself. But as the sun dipped lower in the horizon, fatigue clawed at her, which reminded her of the hand of bills waiting patiently in her home. Worry tugged at her, but one look at her students engrossed in their projects, laughing and sharing, drained that heaviness away. She was reminded of her father's words: resilience, courage, and the spirit of community. However, as night fell, a sudden rush of rain cascaded from the sky, sending individuals scurrying for shelter. The cheerful event soon clouded with panic. Would the rain wash away this endeavor that meant so much? As the crowd thinned, Sarah felt dread settling around her heart, squeezing tighter. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, she heard a voice call out, "Don't go! We can move inside. Our dreams can't be soaked away." It was that same determination that pushed her to stand steady, as dampened faces turned toward her. "Let us find a way!" she shouted, rallying their spirits as the storm raged on outside. What unfolded would mark a test of their resolve, a moment that could shape everything. Would they rise in unity, or would the storm wash away their dreams? The answer lay just a heartbeat away, waiting to be discovered. As the rain poured down, the atmosphere shifted. The laughter that had once filled the air was replaced by a murmur of worry. Parents exchanged glances, unsure, but Sarah could see the spark in her students' eyes. They were still buzzing with ideas, their imaginations unfazed by the downpour. "All right, everyone, let us gather inside the community center," Sarah called out, lifting her voice above the storm. To her relief, a resounding cheer erupted from the children. It fueled her spirit, igniting a fire deep within. Together, they dashed across puddles, laughter bubbling amid the raindrops. As if the weather couldn't dampen their newfound dream, Sarah felt a sense of purpose. She wasn't just leading a project. She was helping to bind this community, a stone in the wall of an empire taking shape. Finally, they all squeezed into the community center, a cozy haven filled with tables, chairs, and hopeful faces. The air was warmer inside, and Sarah felt a sigh of relief escape her lips. "Now let us spread out," she encouraged, clapping her hands. "Let South make this place our home for empire building." Each table transformed into a workshop. The students and parents sprang into action, scissors snipped, glitter flew, and colored markers danced across paper. Dreams took form right before their eyes. Makeshift castles, flowing rivers of kindness, and vast lands representing freedom. Sarah couldn't help but watch as her sister, Emily, took charge at one table. She was animated, guiding a group of kids in creating a vibrant mural that symbolized their unity amidst diversity. Sarah felt a swell of pride. She loved how Emily shone when she was inspiring others. But then, from the corner of her eye, she noticed the skeptics. A small group was lingering just inside the entrance. They stood with arms crossed, whispers drifting through the room like lingering shadows. Did they really believe these kids could make a difference? Did they really question the strength of their collective spirit? Taking a deep breath, Sarah approached the group, her heart racing. "Hey there," she called out, hopeful yet apprehensive. "What do you think of our little empire?" One man, his brow furrowed, stepped forward. "It looks like fun. But what's to say this isn't just a temporary thrill? What happens next week? Next month?" Sarah's heart thudded in her chest. The truth of his words struck her. They needed more than just a night of fun. They needed a plan. "You're right," she replied, meeting his gaze. "But what if we show this town what we can achieve together? We don't have to stop here. Let us create something lasting. Let us show everyone our dreams together." The murmurs in the group began to shift. She could see their icy expressions soften a little. The designs, creations, and laughter of the kids enveloped them, all a reminder of the power of community. "Will you join us? All of you?" she asked with a spark of hope. "Help brainstorm ways to keep the momentum alive after tonight? We need every voice out there." A moment of silence lingered, thick with uncertainty, but it held potential. "All right, we'll help." The man nodded, his tone changing, softer now. "Let us see what we can do." Relief washed over Sarah as the warmth of possibility draped over her like a heavy blanket in the chill. Together, they brainstormed ideas surrounding community projects, events, and ways to gather outside the four walls of the center. With every new idea floated, Sarah felt hope blossom. Maybe they wouldn't just build a project tonight, but build the foundation of a new community bond. And as they worked together, shaken hearts began to stitch together one idea at a time. But just as victory felt within reach, Sarah noticed the storm outside was only growing fiercer. Would the fragile connections they forged withstand more than just the test of rain? The answer lingered as clouds rumbled. A storm of new challenges awaited them. Would they continue to forge ahead, or were they too fragile to endure? Sarah glanced around the community center, a hive of activity where hope fluttered above the sounds of creativity. The children were enthusiastic, their hands moving swiftly, crafting representations of their shared dreams. She breathed in the warm, sweet scent of paper and glue, taking comfort in it amid the unrelenting storm just beyond the windows. Outside, the rain intensified, hammering against the roof like impatient fingers. The group that had been standing at the entrance now fully engaged with her, and their shared purpose began to light a spark not just within Sarah but also among the others who had chosen to lean in. They were starting to envision a future together, one filled with promise. "Okay, everyone." Sarah clapped her hands to regain attention. "Let us bring our ideas together. What can we establish as a lasting legacy for our community?" One of the children, a boy with bright red hair, stood up, his large eyes wide with excitement. "We should have a festival, like a day to celebrate everything we make together." Another girl, her curls bouncing as she raised her hand, added, "And we can have games. And music." Encouragement flowed from Sarah's lips as she watched their enthusiasm grow. For every idea shared, a fresh wave of energy surged through the room, blending the whispers of the old skeptics into something more harmonious, something hopeful. Suddenly, a loud crash of thunder echoed outside. A collective gasp filled the room. The little boy's eyes widened in fear as he scurried back towards the safety of the older kids. For a brief moment, the laughter evaporated, uncertainty creeping back in. Sarah felt her own heart drop. "Hey, it's just thunder," she reassured with a warm smile. "That storm can't touch our dreams. We're stronger together." Above their heads, the storm raged on, but inside, a resilient spirit began to bloom. With each crack of lightning that lit the walls, the stories sloshed around them, intertwining with their hopes. They were dreaming of a festival that could break the ground for further community engagement. Much like seeds breaking through the soil to reach the sunlight, ideas began to solidify. Sarah noticed Emily busy painting the mural with a few excited kids. It depicted not just unity but the community's rich history, woven through with threads of connection that spoke of a rich future. Sarah felt a rush of pride, watching her sister channel the same spark of inspiration she had once given. But then the door flung open a gust of wind, causing papers to scatter like lost thoughts. A handful of the original skeptics braved the rain, heavily drenched, but determined. "We wanted to help after all," the man who first spoken announced, shaking water from his hair. "What can we do?" Another woman asked, her tone earnest. Relief washed over Sarah like warmth through an open window. "You're just in time. We were brainstorming a festival. Could you help us organize it?" The rain kept falling, a relentless reminder of the storm outside. But inside, Sarah felt unwavering resolve gathering strength. They were transforming doubts into action, hearts united in hope as laughter erupted once again and plans began to take shape. Sarah suddenly realized that what they were building extended far beyond a festival. It was a lifeboat against the storm, a testament to each person who dared to dream. Yet, just as they began sketching plans, a severe gust rattled the windows, and the lights flickered overhead. Would this be their last chance to unite? Or was the storm merely a test of their newfound strength? The tension crackled in the air as they paused, waiting for the next rumble of thunder, uncertain of what lay ahead. What awaited them outside could either break them or fortify their resolve. The room was thick with anticipation, a fragile mix of excitement and anxiety. Sarah locked eyes with each child and adult, trying to instill courage as the storm raged on outside. The wind howled through the cracks, almost as if it were taunting their newfound hopes. But within those walls, something profound was taking shape. "Let us not let fear run the show," she urged, her voice steady. "Let us imagine that festival, that moment of joy. Picture it in your minds. What do you see?" The little boy with red hair, now a tad braver, jumped in again. "We can have a huge cake, like the biggest cake ever. And balloons," the curly-haired girl chimed, her eyes sparkling. As ideas poured forth, Sarah felt a wave of warmth wash over her, igniting the flickering lights above them. Laughter filled the air, dovetailing with the rhythm of raindrops hammering at the windows. The skeptics, now fervently writing down suggestions, were no longer outsiders. They had become a crucial part of this vision. Uniting their desires and ambitions, the room felt charged, electric. "Give me one more idea," Sarah asked, her heartbeat quickening with hope. A shy girl in the back raised her hand. "Parade. Everyone can dress up and come together." "Yes, parade," Sarah cheered, clapping her hands, heart racing. "We'll celebrate our creativity and everything that brings us together. And we can showcase our mural." With every new suggestion, the room felt lighter. Conversations swirled like the colorful tornado of creativity they aimed to unleash into their community. Emily stepped back from her mural, her brush pausing mid-stroke, a proud smile blossoming on her face. Just then, the lights flickered again, dimming into a serene golden hue, casting shadows that danced on the walls. The storm outside seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, mirroring their collective energy. "What do we need to do now?" Sarah asked, guiding the group as they leaned in closer, almost conspiratorial, as if they were planning something grand. "We need to spread the word," one of the drenched skeptics suggested, shaking off water with newfound enthusiasm. "Let us get people involved. Flyers? Social media?" Another added, scribbling notes. "Yes, yes," Sarah encouraged, her own heart swelling with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "But we have to ensure everyone feels welcome, even those who didn't think they belonged before." With each idea exchanged, the flickering light returned to a steady glow, illuminating their newfound connections. The storm outside howled, but inside, laughter mingled with fervent planning. Ideas danced like rays of sunshine breaking through the dark clouds. Then, the air grew heavy, and a chill slipped through the room. A sharp crack of thunder reverberated, shaking the walls. The children squealed, grasping at each other for comfort, eyes wide with trepidation. Sarah's own heart stuttered, watching the fear take them, but she also saw an overpowering surge of determination blossoming in their faces. "Let us focus on our dreams like we just talked about," she said, her voice steady this time. "Let that storm be a backdrop to our festival. We'll show everyone that we can thrive in any weather." The storm transformed from an enemy into a backdrop for their victory, and one by one, They nodded. The plans for their festival were grounded in hope, ready to spring to life. Just then, without warning, the lights went out completely. Darkness enveloped them. "What do we do now?" someone murmured, panic creeping back in. But as silence blanketed the room, Sarah felt a surge of bravery bubble up within her. "Don't worry," she said, her heart racing with a determination that echoed in the darkness. "Let us share our ideas out loud. We don't need light to shine." Voices began rising, weaving together in a tapestry of ideas, hopes, and shared dreams. In that moment of uncertainty, the true essence of courage bloomed. Sarah felt every heartbeat. Every voice pierced through the darkness, uniting them more than the storm ever could. What awaited them as they emerged into the light again? Would their festival reflect the resiliency forged in the storm, or would it be swept away, mere echoes of dreams? The darkness lingered like a thick fog, wrapping around them, but Sarah felt a shift. Each voice added a layer of brightness, pushing back against the shadows threatening to swallow them whole. "Let us have games," shouted the boy with red hair, his excitement cutting through the tension. "Like sack races and a tug of war." "Yes, prizes for the winners." Another child chimed in, their enthusiasm palpable. "Puppets," Emily suggested from her corner, her voice full of passion. "We can have puppet shows to tell stories." Everyone loves stories. With each idea, they were weaving a tapestry of hope against the storm outside. It felt like they were creating a world filled with color and laughter. The answers they had feared in the dark were transforming into vibrant possibilities. Sarah felt her heart swell at the thought of it. "Great ideas, everyone. Let us keep this going," she encouraged, her voice ringing with a newfound energy. "What about music? A band to liven up the festival?" The kids erupted with suggestions, jumping out of their seats, gesturing wildly. "We can ask my dad. He plays guitar," a girl exclaimed. "And my aunt sings," another added. It was infectious. The adults, too, had begun to murmur and laugh, their skepticism melting away. Sarah noticed the man in the back who had once crossed his arms, now nodding along with the flow of energy. "Let us plan a community potluck, too," he said, finally speaking up, a smile breaking through. "Everyone can bring their favorite dishes to share. We can celebrate our cultures, too." "Brilliant," Sarah clapped. "This festival is about togetherness. Every dish tells a story." As they brainstormed, the storm raged on, rain still pounding furiously against the windows. But inside, there was warmth, the kind that came from unity and shared dreams. The fear that had gripped them moments before started to dissolve, replaced by laughter and excitement. Then, just as hope surged through them, another loud crash of thunder echoed, making everyone jump. But this time it was different. The children squealed, but rather than panic, laughter erupted. They were no longer afraid. "On three, let us scare the storm away." Together they all counted down 1, 2, 3, as they shouted, "Go away, storm." Their voices intertwined in joyous defiance. The sound resonated. It was a declaration of control, of resilience, echoing in the dim room. As the storm outside continued, something shifted inside of Sarah. She could almost feel the rain cleansing not just the world outside, but the doubts that had clouded their dreams. She glanced around the room, seeing hope reflected in every face, each radiating a light that could shatter darkness. "Let this festival be our promise," she suggested, her voice steady. "A promise to ourselves, to each other, that we can bring brightness into the world, no matter the storms we face." Cheers erupted around her. The children and adults, all united, grabbed scraps of paper and began jotting down their roles for the festival. From cooks to performers, artists to organizers. Sarah was overwhelmed, feeling a deep connection, a community coming together, ready to rise. But as she soaked it all in, the lights flickered again, briefly illuminating the room with a flash. The looming question of the storm still lingered. Would they be ready when it all came crashing down? Suddenly, the children's laughter turned to gasps as another jolt of lightning flashed, illuminating the windows, casting eerie shadows across their faces. Then the room went dark again. Sarah's heart raced. "We're still here," she called, her voice threading through the panic threatening to return. "And we won't let anything stop us." The anticipation hung thick once more, a charged silence before the next wave of action. What would happen if the storm truly did break through? Would their dreams still hold when faced with harsh realities? The air felt electric, the darkness pressing in on them like a thick blanket. Yet Sarah could sense the vibration of hope coursing through the gathering. After the lights flickered out, she thought of it as a signal this was their moment to shine brighter. "Who needs the lights when we have each other?" One of the children shouted, breaking into giggles. Inspired by their resilience, Sarah felt her fear ebb away. "Exactly. Let us keep our plans alive. Ideas can't be dimmed by a little darkness." She moved closer to the group, her voice steady, a lighthouse amidst the storm. "We have everything we need right here in this room." Encouraged by Sarah's warmth, the kids started clapping again, the sound echoing against the walls like the pitter-patter of rain outside. The man with the gentle smile stepped forward. "I would like to teach a drumming workshop. We can use pots and pans if we have to." "Awesome!" someone exclaimed, and enthusiasm rippled through the room again. Each suggestion piled on top of the last, building an unstoppable wave of creativity and spirit. Sarah's heart swelled as she looked around, feeling a spark of joy igniting. This was more than a festival, it was a movement, a declaration that no rain could drown their dreams. "Let us make lanterns," Emily chimed in, her eyes bright. "We can line the streets with them. They will light up our path. It'll look magical when it's dark." "Yes, yes," others echoed, and soon they were talking excitedly about colors and shapes, crafting stories out of paper and glued as they dove into preparations. The weather outside seemed to shift too. The thunder rumbled like an old friend joining in their merriment, and the wind howled in tandem with their laughter, morphing into something almost playful in her mind. Sarah began envisioning the festival. Lanterns hanging from trees, children laughing as they raced in sackcloth, the sweet aroma of different dishes wafting through the air. Every detail felt possible, from the music that would lift their spirits to the vibrant tapestry of cultures coming together. But then, abruptly, the steady rhythm of their excitement was punctuated by another powerful flash from the storm outside. The room lit up momentarily, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. In that heartbeat of illumination, she saw the flicker of fear again in some of their eyes. That fleeting moment where doubt dared to creep back in. Sarah knew they had to push back against it. Conflict, after all, was just part of the journey. "Remember," Sarah said, lowering her voice but holding her gaze steady. "The festival isn't just about what will happen on that day. It's about today, about how we come together right now. What if we had a storytelling corner?" A small voice piped up from the back, and the room turned silent, hanging on the suggestion. "I love that," Sarah beamed. "A place where everyone can share a piece of their story, a memory. Imagine the connection we find." More and more ideas fluttered like butterflies. An art corner, games under the stars, a talent show. As they planned, laughter spilled forth, filling the room with warmth. But, as hope surged, a massive crack of lightning split the sky, a powerful reminder of the storm still raging. Sarah's heart raced. The winds picked up, and a shadow of uncertainty loomed again like an uninvited guest. "Stay strong, everyone," she called, trying to anchor their spirits. "If the storm strikes, we face it together." The crowd hushed, a collective breath echoing through the room. They were at a crossroads, caught between fear and hope. What would they do if the storm from outside threatened the very gathering they had built within these walls? A deep silence enveloped them, each face reflecting that pivotal question. The flickering lights seemed like a heartbeat. Would they withstand the tempest, or would their dreams be washed away? And then, another flash outside, illuminating Sarah's determined expression. Would the community continue to stand firm, or were they just a gust away from unraveling? In the charged atmosphere, the silence felt heavy. Sarah stood amidst the group, their faces lit by the sporadic flashes of light, each revealing a blend of hope, uncertainty, and resolve. She saw not just a gathering of children and adults, but a family woven together by shared dreams and a fierce desire to create something beautiful. "Let us do it," she declared, her voice strong and unyielding against the storm outside. She could feel the energy ripple through the crowd again. "We won tea, let a little rain hold us back. This festival is our voice." Encouraged, Emily jumped to her feet, her spirit infectious. "We can gather stories about what this festival means to each of us. We can share laughter, fears, and dreams around the lanterns." "Yes, stories." Others chimed in, their worries momentarily eclipsed by the thought of connection. It was a simple idea, yet it felt monumental, a foundation upon which they could build as conversations erupted. Sarah glanced around, absorbing the warmth that permeated the air. The man with the gentle smile began gathering kitchen items, searching for pans and wooden spoons. Children joined him, their laughter pealing through the unsettling winds. "I'll help you with the drumming workshop," a little girl offered, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "Count me in," another shouted, running to grab the biggest pot he could find. Sarah's heart fluttered. It was in these spontaneous acts of joy amidst chaos that the true spirit of their community shone through. They weren't just planning an event. They were building a tapestry of bonds with every idea exchanged, every laugh shared. But the storm's fury outside had not subsided. Suddenly, a gust of wind howled, rattling the windows, and the lights flickered dangerously again. "Hold on." Sarah lifted her voice above the noise. "We're still here. Don't be afraid." Just then, a little boy, wide-eyed, raised his small hand. "What if the storm tears down our lanterns and tents? What if we fail?" Sarah paused, facing him directly. His question struck close to home. Every adult in that room had wondered the same thing, but now was not the time for doubt. "What matters is that we come together today. Even if everything outside crumbles, what we create together remains inside us." A collective murmur of understanding washed over the room. As another flash of lightning momentarily illuminated their faces, Sarah saw courage where there had been fear. Their resilience gave the storm a run for its money, and she felt more determined than ever. "We will be the light in the dark," someone shouted, fists raised high. "Yes," they echoed, creating a spontaneous chant that filled the space, pushing back against the shadows creeping in from outside. The fabric of their determination swaddled the room, and as the thunder rumbled on, they clung tightly to each other not just physically, but emotionally. They began to draft a blueprint of what their festival would entail, bolstered by dreams, memories, and stories yet to unfold. Then, as if to challenge their resolve, the room plunged into near darkness once more, the only sounds the wild batter of raindrops against the roof and the pounding of their hearts. But rather than retreat into silence, sparks of chatter ignited anew, spirited ideas flying around like fireflies. "What if we built a giant lantern together?" Emily proposed, her fervor reigniting hope among them. "Yes, we can use all our creativity," another added. They began tossing around ideas for materials, patterns, and colors, eyes brightening at every mention. Sarah felt a wave of gratitude wash through her. Even while surrounded by uncertainty, they were ready to forge ahead. But as the storm visibly intensified outside, what would become of their dreams? The thunder growled ominously, echoing her thoughts, reminding her that what lay ahead was fraught with challenges. The question settled deep in Sarah's heart. Would their unity be enough to withstand the full force of the tempest? With the winds howling louder, she knew a crucial moment was fast approaching. Would they remain steadfast, or was this gathering as fragile as the lanterns they planned to make? The wind howled like a pack of wolves outside, rattling the walls and causing everyone to shrink back for a brief moment, uncertainty flashing across faces. But Sarah could sense the fear ebbing away, replaced by a fierce determination that had settled over the group like a warm blanket. "Let us gather around," she said, moving toward the center where a large table stood slightly askew, laden with colorful paper, scissors, and an array of art supplies. "We can start planning the giant lantern right now. We'll sketch designs and brainstorm colors." As people gathered, the fear morphed into excitement. The little girl who had first suggested drumming clapped her hands and shouted, "I'll draw the lantern design." Her enthusiasm was catching. "Me too," shouted another kid, rushing forward to grab some markers. The mood shifted quickly as their creativity began to flow, each idea igniting another. "Let us make it glow in the dark," someone offered, eyes shimmering brightly as they envisioned a dazzling display of colors. "Yes, we'll need glow sticks and fairy lights," Emily added, her voice bubbling over with enthusiasm. With each idea, the atmosphere transformed, blending their hopes into something tangible. Laughter rang out, drowning out the tumultuous storm beyond the walls. It was as if they were constructing a magical fortress, fortified by their shared spirit and laughter. As Sarah orchestrated the bursts of creativity around her, she felt a familiar warmth growing in her chest. It was the feeling of unity, the kind that pulled everyone closer, no matter the tempest that raged outside. But then, a loud crash of thunder rattled them again, and the lights flickered one last time before plunging the room into darkness. Gasps echoed around her, gripping them in an uncomfortable hush. "Don't panic," Sarah called out, struggling to regain her own composure. "We have each other. Let us keep the energy up." She took a deep breath and reached for a flashlight, its beam acting as a lifeline against the dark. With the light, the faces around her glowed with warmth. She could see flickers of anxiety still lingering, but the beauty of shared purpose fought against it. "Let us each tell a story about what the festival means to us," she suggested, her voice steady and calm. "We can keep our spirits bright even if it's dark. Who wants to go first?" It was a small boy, trembling but determined, who stood up. He cleared his throat. "I remember the last festival," he began, voice shaking slightly, "and how I felt so happy wearing my lantern. It was bright and beautiful. Felt like being a part of something really special." His words hung in the air, painted with sincerity. Encouraged, another child chimed in, sharing how the festival meant courage to him, an escape from everything that felt heavy in the world. Soon, stories poured out like a stream, each word weaving the fabric of their community tighter. They spoke of lost loved ones, of hope, and dreams reignited. But outside, the storm still raged, fierce and relentless. Just as a particularly violent gust rattled the doors, the little boy raised his hand again. This time he asked, "What if the storm never stops?" Heartbeats quickened in the darkness. Here was the raw honesty that sparked vulnerability among them all. "Sometimes storms last longer than we expect," Sarah responded quietly. "But we're all together. We've built something beautiful tonight that can't be washed away. Let's hold that light inside us, no matter what happens next." As her words hung in the air, she sensed a collective resolve, the desire to face whatever came next, together. With each heartbeat and each shared story, the storm outside felt a little less threatening. But just as she thought they had weathered the worst of it, a blinding flash of lightning lit up the room, followed by a deafening crack that resonated through the walls. For a moment, every heart stopped. What lay ahead remained uncertain, and as branches scraped against the windows, one question lingered in the air: would the bonds they built be enough to stand against the storm's true fury? As the storm roared outside, casting shadows in their little haven, the tension among Sarah and her community tightened like a coiled spring. Each heartbeat echoed the unspoken fear of what awaited them in those darkened corners of uncertainty. But then something remarkable happened. The stories continued to flow like a river, rushing towards a promise of hope that illuminated even the darkest parts of the room. "Let me tell you about my grandma," a girl with twinkling eyes began, her voice cracking slightly but filled with determination. "She always said that no storm can last forever. One provides shelter from the rain, but it's up to us to bring joy back to the light." Her words resonated like a beacon, capturing the spirits of everyone around her. Suddenly, it felt like the rain outside was just a reminder, not a barrier. Each person felt a flicker of inspiration reignite, weaving threads of strength that outshone the uncertainty that had haunted them moments earlier. "Let us make our lanterns glow brighter," Sarah shouted, her voice ringing with newfound energy, catching the pace of enthusiasm within the room. Let us turn this festival into something they've never seen before. A chorus of agreement erupted around her. Emily jumped in. What if we made a giant lantern together? A symbol of our shared dreams. Something to showcase at the festival that nobody will forget. The excited chatter began to bounce around the room. Ideas flew like confetti, and laughter filled the air, pushing back against the storm's fury. They gathered supplies, scissors in hand, as the darkness outside became an afterthought. The storm was still there, but it no longer consumed them. Instead, it acted as a backdrop to their resilience and determination. With a spark ignited from their shared stories, they came together, building pieces of their giant lantern. It felt as if each stroke of color painted over fear, and each crafted detail woven with dreams birthed from visions of unity. Sarah felt herself break free from the weight of grief as she witnessed the growing bonds of friendship and hope in every sprinkle of glitter and colorful strokes of paint. When they finally rolled out the lantern's core, a wave of collective accomplishment washed over them. The lantern became a tangible reflection of their journey, a testament not just to a festival but to their connectedness, the healing of broken relationships, and the forgiveness each of them sought, including Sarah's reconciliation with Emily. They were growing, building a new tapestry of joy. "It's beautiful," the boy with the bright red hair exclaimed, his eyes wide, reflecting the shimmering lantern design. Sarah felt a warmth radiate from their creation. It was a shining symbol of their unity, hope, and resilience against adversity. "Oh no, what if the storm destroys our lantern?" The little boy from before chimed in again, fear creeping back into his voice. But Sarah quickly interjected, "What matters is not the storm but the power behind what we've made. Even if the storm beats this lantern down, it can never extinguish the light we've created together inside our hearts." Just then, another wave of thunder rumbled in the community center. But this time they answered it not with fear but with laughter and cheers. Sarah looked around at the faces around her, their smiles bright against the storm's backdrop. She couldn't help but smile at the shift. They had become a real community, forged through trials, dreams, and laughter amidst their sorrows. In that very moment, the lights flickered back on, illuminating the vibrant scene as their giant lantern took shape. Applause broke out, laughter mingling with the sound of raindrops, as if the storm had transformed into their music. They were a family, resilient and united, ready to face whatever the storm bore. With newfound confidence, Sarah turned to her community. "We're more than just a group trying to build a festival. We are a testament to the spirit of togetherness. No storm can define us, and we will show that with our festival." Joy rippled through the room, weaving their hearts together tighter. The merging of hopes, fears, and stories transformed their festival into something enduring, a gathering of souls forever altered. And as they stepped out into the rain when it finally ceased, lantern in hand, the air hummed with warmth. Sarah, Emily, and the townsfolk walked side by side, a united front against all storms. Their hearts glowed like the lantern they created, now a symbol of resilience and hope. Together, they would face the future not as isolated dreams but as a sunrise rising after a night full of storms. As the town flourished with new connections over vibrant celebrations, Sarah felt her father's spirit enveloping her, wrapping her in love and pride. She stood tall, looking at the faces around her united, ready to embrace whatever awaited them beyond the horizon. Now, it's your turn to take that journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that change lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of building this community together.